everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Becky and I'm sure a lot of you are looking at this and going, wait a minute, where is she? I am still in my house, but I am in the process of moving my art room from the workshop, which was upstairs, to this room, which is part of a mother-in-law suite that we weren't using. This room had been used as storage, and I was down here and decided, you know what, this would make a fantastic art room. So for the last couple of weeks, I have been working on getting all of my stuff moved from up there to down here and getting this room cleaned out and cleaned up so that I can use it. It's not ready yet because I still need to get a desk and there's still a few more art supplies to move downstairs. But one of the things that I have moved down here already are my art books, which you can see right here on this bookshelf. I like this a lot better because I can actually see the books instead of having them hidden inside of a cupboard that was in the workshop. So today we're going to actually look at some of these books and talk about the types of books that I like and which ones I don't and that sort of thing. I may pull out a couple of individual books and talk about them specifically, but I just kind of wanted to have a conversation about art books and what I like about them and what I don't, kind of what I wish to see in them, those sorts of things. Hey, I moved down to the floor because I figured that way you can actually see the bookshelf a little bit better and I can talk about some of the books on here and pull them out and look at them with you. Like I said, I don't have a desk in here, otherwise I would move up to the desk, but I have a whole bunch of different books here and I've tried to figure out how to organize them. That's one issue that I have, is I'm never sure how to organize them because I don't really know what categories they should belong in, but I've got some kind of general reference books over here, meaning just like things like this Fairyland Companion, which just has a whole bunch of drawings of fairies and things like, you know, background of fairies and things like that. And then I've got a whole bunch of how to draw books in here. A lot of them are kind of fantasy themed because I do like fantasy artwork. I know you probably haven't seen me draw a lot of it, but I do enjoy looking at it, and I do want to get into drawing that style of artwork. I just have been scared to do so. And then I've got some sketchbooks from other people, things like the Lord of the Rings sketchbook. This is a beautiful sketchbook, by the way. If you ever get a chance to look through it, it's absolutely gorgeous. This is really nice for kind of inspiration to try and get me into drawing like this. And then I've got like a couple of just like henna books because I do like to do henna on myself. And then these are anatomy study books. So there's like drawing the hand, drawing figures, things like that. So a lot of drawings and kind of how to break down things in the human anatomy. I've got a couple of coloring books in here. This one is absolutely beautiful. This is Mystic World by Kirby Rosanes. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Absolutely beautiful book. The illustrations inside are gorgeous. I love all of the detail and the line work. I haven't done any coloring in here because I just love looking at the line work so much. I don't want to ruin it. But I will probably end up using this just kind of as inspiration on how to draw like this. And I may even end up tracing some of it just to kind of learn how he does his lines and things like that so that I can implement some of that in my own artwork. And then I've got some books on lettering in here because I want to get better at lettering and things like that. And then lastly over here are books on color theory because I am not professionally trained. I didn't go to school to learn art, so you know, I'm trying to learn it through resource books as well as things online. I've got some other books down here that didn't really fit up here. Extra sketchbooks, and then down here is just more sketchbooks and stuff that you know, I haven't used yet. So these aren't resource books. So one thing that I have learned about myself is I actually don't really like the how to draw books that much. I have a fair number of them, but I don't like them. And the reason being is, for me, the how to draw books are fantastic if you want to learn how to draw a very particular thing in a very particular pose. I don't know if it was just I didn't understand what they were trying to get at or whatever, but it didn't to me tell me how to break down like the person or creature or pose or whatever in a way that would allow me to then draw it again in my own position, or whatever. It just kind of said, okay, head looks like this and the shoulders look like this and and it would be in one particular pose. So it until very recently, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense as a way for me to learn how to draw that thing in other poses. It was fantastic if I wanted to draw that one thing in that one way. I haven't gone back and looked at them again since I've kind of learned how to break down structures. So maybe now they would be better, but for me, I didn't really feel like they were a good kind of beginner book. So as an example of one of those how to draw books, I have this one, how to draw wizards, warriors, orcs, and elves. And for example, we have a page like this that shows kind of how to break the person down. They've got a stick figure, and then they've got some of the arms and legs on there, etc. And then they just keep adding details, which is great. It really kind of shows you, okay, cool, you can start with this basic structure and then add details onto it. But the thing that I don't think it ever does is explain to you, oh, okay, for an arm, use a shape like this. For the torso, use a shape like this. And it should be this long. And, all of those rules that you kind of need to understand in order to draw the thing for yourself. I never see these books break that down. And I really wish that they did, because that would make these so much more useful. So I don't know if I'm the only one that has that sort of problem with books like this. If you do, please leave a comment, or if there's like some tip or trick that I'm just missing, let me know, because I would love to be able to use these books more, but right now they mostly just sit on my shelf and gather dust. Another type of book that I really want to start using more are things like just reference books. So these are just like lots of reference photos. So there's reference photos of different weaponry and things like that in here, which I want to be able to draw fantasy stuff, so I should come in here and study this. It shows me, like, this is a real weapon. Here are some other real weapons that have been used throughout history, and these would be fantastic things to study and learn from. And when I say study, like for me, that really does mean like just sitting there and trying to draw the things, trying to understand how to break it down, that sort of thing. Here's some more swords, to kind of get an idea of how that structure goes together. For me, when I'm studying, doing art studies, I am really trying to understand the object, how it goes together, what the component pieces are, those sorts of things. In the past, I didn't understand what it meant to study in art, and so I would just draw the exact thing that I saw without actually trying to understand what it was I saw or how it went together. So I would draw, like, here's the face, and I would draw all the outlines of everything and put it in there, and that was fine until I actually wanted to draw it in a different way or draw my own version of it. So, books like this, I want to spend more time looking at and understanding and studying. So you'll probably see me doing some of that in the not too distant future, because I do want to start using my books a lot more, because right now they mostly just sit on the shelf and, like I said, gather dust, because I don't think to grab them. But I'm hoping that having them out and visible will make it so that I'll grab them more. And my desk is going to be facing this bookshelf, so hopefully that will prompt me to grab them more often. Kind of the next category of books are artist sketchbooks. These are a lot of fun to look at and kind of understand how another artist sees the world. I have a couple of Lord of the Rings ones, and I have a Loish one down here. I think it was Loish. Oh, actually, it's just a whole bunch of different character designers. I think Loish may be in here. I don't remember. But, like, there's a whole bunch of character design things in here. And it's really nice to kind of understand how another artist looks at things and breaks them down, that sort of thing. So this one really shows the breakdown of it, whereas these show, like, the sketches and stuff behind things. So, just these absolutely gorgeous sketches and some more finished pieces in here. are just beautiful to look at, and just kind of this this one talks about some of the background of Lord of the Rings and that sort of thing, but just, you know, beautiful rendered things in here, just as inspiration to get my mind flowing and, you know, get me wanting to draw things like this. And I may end up studying some things from these books as well, maybe redrawing some of the things that I see in here, just to kind of get a feel for what it would be like to create my own houses like these, or trees, or, you know, all the backgrounds and stuff, because that is a thing that I know that I need to work on, is backgrounds for things. I don't usually do them because I just don't know how to do them. So I'm hoping that by studying other artists, I will be able to understand how to do that. So for me, that's how I would use these books. If you have other ways of using books like this, please let me know, because I don't really know how to use them, and I'm just trying to figure this out myself, and hopefully we can have a conversation and figure this out together. And then there are resources, things like, you know, dynamic anatomy, which really kind of show you how the human body is put together, and have lots of drawings inside of kind of how to draw it, where muscles join up and things like that. And while you don't have to necessarily understand all of the mechanics of the body in order to draw it, for me, it helps to understand some of those mechanics, to understand, like, if I lift my arm up, what is that going to look like from the back or from the side or whatever, so that I can imagine it in my head and then draw it out and know that, oh, okay, if I do that, this muscle is going to twist like this, and that muscle is going to bulge, and this one isn't going to bulge, and that sort of thing. Those are really helpful to understand and know, so that you can actually draw things from imagination rather than having to find a reference every time. Not that I have any issue with finding a reference, but sometimes it's going to be really hard to find the reference that you actually want in the pose that you actually want. So being able to understand the anatomy and kind of how things move is really going to help, I think, me to draw things in different poses without having to find a reference every time. So I think I'm going to skip over the section of lettering. There's a whole bunch of different lettering books out there. Most of them I think are pretty good. They show you what the letters look like and give you an opportunity to practice doing them on your own. And there's really not a whole lot more to it. So I don't really have recommendations on lettering books so much. If you do have some that you think are fantastic, please let me know. I'm interested. I just haven't found any that I feel like stand out too much. But, you know, I don't have a whole lot of them. I've got like 3 or 4 of them. So for the most part, lettering books are lettering books in my mind. But the next category of books are theory books. And I don't have a lot of those. Most of them that I have are around color theory, because, like I said, I don't necessarily understand color theory terribly well. So this one is actually Mastering Composition. So it shows a whole bunch of masters in like their art, and it kind of breaks down the composition, which I think is going to be really interesting to work through. The problem I have with books like these is I want to sit down and read them, but I get real bored with them really fast. So I will get one and I'll start to read it and I'll be like, this is awesome, this is awesome. But number one, I can't absorb the information that quickly, and I can't absorb it just from reading it. And I typically don't sit down and try to practice each of the things that I just learned either. Because either I don't have the time, or I don't know what to draw or paint or whatever in order to practice them. So they kind of sit on my bookshelf a lot, even though I know there's a lot of really valuable information in these. So if you guys have suggestions on how to use my reference books better to really make them stick, exercises to do so that I can practice some of the things in there, those sorts of things, you know, pass them along so that I understand, and other people in the little community that I'm building here understand kind of how to do those things to make your art better. I would really appreciate it. I think the only other books I didn't talk about were the henna design books. Those are nice books to have if you want to do designs like a henna design. There's a lot of tribal designs and things like that. I think they would be good for if you are into tattooing, things like that. There's a lot of cool designs that you can look at and kind of get ideas from. A lot of those are also very similar in terms of like, here's a whole bunch of designs, and they might share some of the history or meaning behind them, which is really cool to read. But overall, I think they're fairly similar. With one exception, there is one book that I absolutely love, and let me see if I can find it. Found it. It was not with the other henna books. This is the henna source book, and I got it for $7.98 because it was on the bargain shelf. But it is absolutely gorgeous. A lot of the pages, you can see that shine on there, have gold ink inside, and it just makes it absolutely beautiful to flip through and look at. And it breaks down the different pieces of a design into like just different like symbols. So here it's just like, here's familiar objects, and so it's got just a whole bunch of symbology and pieces that you can put together to make the thing that you want to make. And so, you know, lots of just different bits and pieces that you can put together to make your own designs. This one doesn't really talk a whole lot about what the things necessarily mean, but does have some examples where they've put a bunch of them together in order to make a more complete design. It also breaks it down into like different categories. So these are arabesque patterns, and then it has Persian symbols and protective symbols. So I guess it does kind of tell you a little bit about like somewhat a meaning behind them. But love this book. It's beautiful, and I definitely refer to it when I'm going to do some henna designs on myself or others. So if you are into that sort of thing or are into those sorts of designs, I highly recommend this book. Go find it. Like I said, you're probably gonna have to look at secondhand stores for it because I don't think it's in print anymore, but do love this book. Thanks for joining me. Like I said, coming up in the not too distant future, you're going to see a video where I show you the transformation of this space into my new art room. That's probably not going to come out for a couple of weeks yet because I do still need to get a desk, and I'm not sure when I'm going to go get that because college is coming up. My son is moving back to college, so I'm probably going to have to help him out with that. I've got a wedding going to, etc., etc., and I still owe you guys the final video in the comparing different gouaches, or the final 2 videos depending on whether I do one with the Arteza gouache that I have. I do plan on still doing those. I just didn't really have time to do that this week. This was going to be a much easier video for me to do because I just got back from vacation and wanted to get a video out to you guys this week, so I was only skipping 1 week. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you have any suggestions on ways that I should be using the books that I have, I would really love to hear them. If you have any suggestions on books that I should buy, I would love to hear that as well. Whether they are just kind of source material or sketchbooks or whatever, let me know. I'm always interested. Whenever I see an artist talk about the books that they love, I go through and I pause and I go look up the books and try and decide if I want them or not. So I love that sort of thing. Love books. So please let me know what you guys have, what you like, how you use them, that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye.